Eddie Howe's Newcastle have just completely outclassed Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, and we're going to take a little quick look on the tactics board as to how he's done that, because I really do think it was very one-sided in this game. There was a few sort of things that went against Arsenal in the first few minutes in terms of, I mean, Isaac's goal was rightfully just offside. Then they struck the post themselves with an Erdegaard shot, which again could change the complexion of the game. Before Newcastle then actually took the 1-0 lead. So now just really quickly, just to sort of go through the stats. Yet again, another team not holding more of the ball. So 32% possession for Newcastle compared to 68% for Arsenal. Another team where they have less of the ball, but they create more big chances. They only had one fewer shot. Arsenal had 11 shots. Newcastle had 10. And all in all, the game plan worked. They sat in and they were compact and they were hard to beat. But it was just the tweaks that Eddie Howe made in this game that I just thought were genius. So what we've got here is what a lot of people would sort of consider as that, what you could see on paper is basically a 5-4-1, right? You got Lewis Hall as left wing back, Trippier right wing back, three centre backs, Gordon and Murphy as those left and right mids, Isaac as the sort of lone striker, and two in the middle. But what they didn't do is do what they did last time and sort of park up, sitting, because last time there was a point against at the Emirates. It wasn't Isaac, they took a player off, but they were basically sitting in two banks of five. And they were really inviting pressure, allowing all of Arsenal's team to sort of push up the pitch. They didn't have Isaac still on the pitch as like an outlet, so they managed to get pinned back. And I think a lot of people going into today's game might have thought, okay, Newcastle are going to sit really deep, really try to absorb all the pressure and just try and get away with this and see how long they can not concede for. But it wasn't really like that. It was very aggressive from Howe, but just within this base. And I think a lot of it was to do with these two here. We're going to speak about why, because this guy here had a massive part to play as well. And of course, Isaac was brilliant. And I think the two midfielders were very good today. I think there was a lot of good performances, but I think these three were just so pivotal to how Newcastle, sort of the game plan for today. So let's get on to it. Let's basically shift into what Arsenal were doing on the ball. So you obviously have pretty much your two half space players in here. You got your winger, but again for Arsenal, they have, with their wing backs, what they usually do with their full backs is invert, and they sort of make this 2-3 and then the 4-1. But again today, because of the personnel on the right was often dropping inside, sort of coming into this area, which then meant that this player could sort of be in here in the middle, this player could sort of be in here, and then their fullback would sort of push out here at times. So this was Timber a lot of the time. So what ended up actually happening was Timber would be sort of around here. Erdegaard would float inside a little bit more. And again, he had the license to go in and around. And this was Martinelli, but then turned to Wanyeri, who again sometimes was out wide, but was coming into this area here. So what ended up happening is Burn would sometimes actually come out to here with Wanyeri. Hall would push up into this midfield area with someone like Timber, who again sometimes sort of kept his width here, sometimes was a little bit more inverted. But it actually then began to look more like a 4-4-2. But you had Botman basically man for man with Havertz in here. You had Tonali basically able to follow Erdegaard here. You then had Partey, who would push on a little bit. So you then had Bruno G, who was able to sort of do a little bit of a hybrid role and just sort of go between the two. And then you had Shah, who was ready to jump up and be very aggressive on someone like Declan Rice in this area, whilst Murphy was then also tracking the other inverted fullback, so Lewis Skelly a lot of the time. And there was moments where they passed him on and Bruno would come over to here, Shah would drop off, Murphy would drop into here, and it would look a little bit more of a deeper 4-4-2. But as you can just see from those arrows, the complexity of the press in terms of the triggers. Again, yeah, Trippier was just able to sort of just stay out here with Trossard, so that worked well. Botman had his man in the middle. But what it left was just this massive danger area for Newcastle, for Arsenal, sorry, which was Gordon and Isaac against Saliba and Gabriel. And it was just havoc because every time that ball broke, and it doesn't help when you're coming into a game, right, as Arsenal, you're 2-0 down from the get-go. They have to push. They have to go forward. They have to throw bodies forward. So you know that they're going to do that. Newcastle are ready for that. and they know that they're going to get some chances on the break. So you set up in this way because you know that if you be a little bit more aggressive and you know you've got your pressing structure right and you work on that throughout the week, chances will present themselves. And by using Gordon in this way, by allowing Hall to attach to Timber instead, wherever he went, even if he came into here, Hall would be there. Hall was there to press. And that was what was allowed due to playing in the 5-back. There was a lot more sort of fluidity of Hall coming out to press, Shah coming out to press, because you'd always still have at least man for man at the back, if not a +1 with someone like Bruno G as well. So there was always had that advantage in the back line, but was also able to press out of the back 5 perfectly, and it just worked really, really well. But as I said, allowing Hall to do this keeps these two further forward. So whenever that ball did break into here, every time it was just the second that ball broke, Gordon can spin into here, Isaac can spin into here, or one of them can come and receive in here, and the other one sort of makes the run. But it was just, there was acres of space because of the advanced positions of the fullbacks. Again, these are terrible drawings here, boxes, but the space in these channels was just huge. And it just allowed both of these players who are man for man here, they had the beating of them today, and it was just little spins in behind, like I say, spinning into this central zone at times as well, with Isaac pulling one over here, and it was just their counter movement and their sort of link up play together, but also just their ability to press man for man on each of these centre backs and sort of keep them from slowing the game down and allowing them to progress through the lines. Like I say, Bruno G on Party, the two wingers, it was like Murphy, but then Hall as well, pushing up in this 4-4-2. In this man-to-man fashion, Newcastle, as you can see, look how touch tight everything looks. It's that today was perfect. And Erdegaard, it got to the point where he was having to drop into here, where Tonali sort of would more, he'd like sort of hover on the idea of pushing all the way out, but he also didn't want to leave that massive hole. So that was the only place Erdegaard was really able to get the ball. And Tonali did a job on him as well in that sense. So I just really think that every single part of that game plan worked to perfection, and the timings, the addition to, like I say, going aggressive from, especially from not Arsenal goal kicks, and we saw it for the goal where who was it? It was Rice. Rice has dropped into here, and Shah has followed him all the way, man for man here, and I think it was Hall who was about here on the picture. And then you can see sort of Tonali, Murphy's actually a little bit deeper in this, I'm pretty sure. That was sort of the landscape for the Newcastle second goal. Again, you've got these two strikers advanced, but you've got Shah and Hall, man for man, further advanced than your two central midfielders who are in here, who are with their men. So you're being really aggressive from that get-go, from that jump of the goal kick, and you're being rewarded for it. But you also know that you're at least going to have the 3 here at the back, and then you can trust someone like Jacob Murphy because he knows that ball's sort of being shifted towards one side of the pitch here. He knows to just drop off a few yards and be that extra man, that +1. And again, these guys, they know that they can recover as well. So the overall aspect of the man-to-man press, the decisions from Eddie Howe, when to go aggressive, when to drop into because they did at times drop into that 5-4-1, and they were tight and compact in the middle of the pitch. But I did really just think it was a perfect display from Eddie Howe, and they really deserve to be in the final. And if they put in a performance like that in the final, they will be tough to beat, whether it is Liverpool or Tottenham. So, unbelievable performance from Newcastle and Eddie Howe. Do let me know if you have any questions down below. If you want to see more videos like this, breaking down a game on a tactics board straight after the game finishes, do let me know in the comments down below. Drop a like so I know that you enjoyed it. And as I said, please do subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.